All right. Welcome. Welcome. I'm not sure if, yeah. So you're here. I could see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Welcome. Lauren, it's great to chat with you. This
It's good to see
conversation.
you
Yeah,
again.
it's great to see you again. Oh my gosh. This conversation didn't really happen. It wasn't planned until you literally popped into my mind. And it happens when I'm working with somebody and I get a thought and I'm like, oh, I wonder how you're doing. And I reached out, and because I heard that soon after we finished working together, very soon after that, you met somebody.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, Nima, I met somebody. Thank you so much for everything I learned. That's great. And I was like, oh, good. Awesome. Way to go. And a few months later, I heard that this felt totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just curious how it played out. And when I messaged you again, almost like a year later, the news that you gave me was so amazing that I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to unpack your journey,
Mm-hmm.
because it was clear, like, you were textbook anxious attachment, weren't you?
100%, definitely.
like like if you could just, when I do the list of all of the symptoms, you
Mm-hmm.
basically were like, check, 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 check.
Yeah.
And you were really committed. You were like, I don't know how. I've been doing therapy for so long. Is there any way? Is there any hope? And I thought this would be a really great opportunity for us to kind of like reverse engineer this story, so that anybody who can identify with this anxious attachment, this preoccupied, ambivalent kind of like, is this person going to abandon me? Do they love me? Second guessing, all of that stuff constantly. Can that person actually have such a profound pivotal shift that they can get to a place where they are not showing up in the same way? They're taking on a whole different identity. And and when I asked you, you said, sure, I'd love to share. So um, I just want to say thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So can you just share, where do you live? What do you do?
Sure. So
Yeah.
I live I live in Sydney, Australia. I'm a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I work for an insurance company now,
Mm-hmm.
and in my spare time, I love dancing. Do lots of dancing classes and competitions and all
That's
sorts of
where
things.
we connected. Hey,
Yeah, yeah,
your dance instructor was actually a competitor. We competed against one
yeah,
another in
yeah,
in salsa kind of competition, like ages
yeah.
ago,
Years ago, yeah.
years ago. And it was like, oh, and so how did you first hear about me? And, was it, you were just scrolling on Facebook? Like, what happened?
Mhm. Yeah, it was scrolling through Facebook, and I'd seen some of your content pop up, and started watching a few videos, and it just really spoke to me. There was just something there that this was different. This was something that I needed to explore further.
Mm. Beautiful. And so could you kind of go into what life was like before? How would you describe the quality of your relationships before? What was life like before you took on the cognitive and somatic healing work?
Sure. So, um, prior to starting working with you, um, from a relationship point of view, I'd been single for probably about 9 years. So I dated a lot of people in that time, but nothing would ever get off the ground, as I would say. There was never
Mm.
this level of commitment. People would not sort of, you were never official. It's just
Yeah.
this sort of back and forward, and every few months you'd have something, and it would, you know, collapse in spectacular fashion. And this was really painful, years and years of this. And, it wasn't what I wanted at all. And it just seemed to be, sucking my energy out. And I felt like, I'd studied so hard to become a lawyer, and, got 3, 4 university degrees and that sort of thing. But then,
Yeah, you're
so much,
intelligent. You're not
so much
lacking intellect.
energy. Yeah. There was so much energy was just caught up in this relationship dance that I also felt like, I wasn't where I should be professionally. I wasn't where I should be like health wise. It just felt like all of my energy was so wrapped up in,
Mm.
um, these relationship failures constantly.
Second
Yeah.
guessing yourself, wondering if like what they
Wondering what's
mean.
wrong with me. Yeah. Like, why does this keep happening?
Mm.
Seeing all your friends um, meet wonderful people and start getting married and having children, and here I am still scrolling my phone and being on Tinder and Bumble and Hinge and whatever else is out there, going, yeah, well, like, what is wrong with me that this is
Mm.
not happening for me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally. And so how would you describe your state in 3 or 4 different words before you came to
I
that
was
should I stay or go workshop?
Yeah, I was incredibly anxious. I would say I was despairing is
Mm-hmm.
another
Mm-hmm.
good adjective. Um, Hopeless.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, we hear that a lot. So,
yeah,
what
yeah.
made you decide to start working with me and us? What was it about me over someone else? What was it about me specifically that you saw?
I saw that there was it went deeper than just talk therapy. There was, in that very first should I stay or should I go workshop, I'm pretty sure I cried just in that first one. And, there was just some very simple exercises about, putting your hand on your heart and, telling yourself, I love you. And can you even do that without
Yeah.
it,
Do you feel it's an
being,
embodiment exercise where I'm like,
yeah.
picture yourself in that ideal relationship. And as you imagine it, what comes up, and all of a sudden everybody's undeserving comes up. And that was a big one for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, completely. And so just, that extra added element. And I think then the fact that you were also very much sort of no bullshit about it all and were very upfront about what this would be, what it means. And yeah, the fact that it's not about them, it's not about the other people, and how how terrible this person was and how bad this ex-boyfriend is. It wasn't about that. It was all about you and, well, why do you keep attracting these people? Why do you keep falling for these people? Why do you keep chasing these people? Because there's tons of wonderful, healthy people out there. So why do you not pick them?
Yeah,
Let's
that was a
focus
good
on
one,
that.
right? You were like, that was one
Yeah.
of your mysteries. That was one of your
Yeah.
question marks that you had,
Mm,
wasn't it? You were like, I mean, why do I keep picking those when,
yeah.
they're, that was one, I remember that was one of your
Mm,
questions, right?
mm,
So what
yeah.
happened during the time that we worked together? What did you discover about that question? Any
Sure.
epiphanies that had you realizing or shifting your kind of
Mm.
trajectory?
I think that I discovered a lot that I didn't even really realize was an issue. So, there were things about, going all the way back to when I was a baby and having to be separated from my parents in hospital for a while, having some, gastrointestinal issues as a child and being,
Yeah.
yeah, like stuck in hospital, and that actually, has a traumatic effect. And if, it can have these lasting effects if you don't deal with it. And
Yeah.
then, um, I think that there was
Totally.
a lot of things unprocessed from um, my childhood as well. I had great parents, and loving family, went to good schools, and so on paper it seems like there's nothing wrong there. But this is where those micro traumas that you talk about, the little t things, they can really add up over time, and if you don't realize it, then you're sort of in this dark place going, I don't understand why I feel this
What's
way.
wrong with me? Yeah.
What's wrong with
Why
me?
do I,
Yeah.
why I don't have anything, like I had all of my needs, like financial needs met, went to good schools,
Yeah.
My parents
Physical
even
needs, all that stuff. Yeah.
totally there was love present, but what was missing, and there was definitely that trauma from childhood, like childhood woundings, being separated from your parents, before you were even verbal.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major cause of trauma, small t trauma,
Yeah.
and that's a cause of anxious attachment that's contributing to it. So if you're doing talk therapy and you're not addressing those, you're not really getting to the root of it, are you?
Mm,
Right. So what
exactly.
happened after you kind of realized that? What's happened after you were able to heal those attachment traumas? Because there was three kind of pathways that we take people through, right? So just to kind of go on a sidebar, there's, the first thing that we have to do when we're going from insecure to secure, is to stop dropping our standards for people just because they're really attractive.
Mhm.
That's the first
Yeah.
thing. That's the stop dropping this. Ooh, they're really hot. So my standards are here. I'm just going to let them, or the sex is really good. So I'm going to, drop it to here. That's the first one. The second one is to heal these attachment traumas, which is, that's
Mhm.
factor number two, shift number two, which you're talking about, attachment trauma when you were a child, attachment trauma with, the birthing process and illness. And there's a laundry list of them: bullying in school, early breakups, the death of a loved one. These are kind of like, they accumulate. And so we work through, we work through that. And the third one is learning how to regulate emotions when they come up and repair when conflict happens. Those are the
Yeah.
three critical shifts that we kind of took you through.
Mhm.
Not lowering your, not, number one, not dropping your standards just because
Mhm.
they're attractive. Number two, healing those attachment traumas, which is like the trauma bonding. We're bonded to those. So we constantly look unconsciously for those same interactions. That's the answer to the question, why am I still attracted to those? It's because deep down, we're pulled to feeling that familiar quest for where's mommy and daddy. And so when it shows up, we push it away unless we've healed our attachment wounds. And the third one is to master your nervous system and learn how to regulate those emotions,
Yeah.
because you're going to get activated in any relationship. You're going to have ruptures in any relationship, but can you repair? So
Mhm.
after you took those three shifts, Lauren, and so what happened after that? What did you notice? Because you shared, we were on a group training, we were talking about energy. And so what happened after you did that work?
Yeah, so we spent about a week towards the end of my time with you,
Mm-hmm.
and in that week, the calls that particular week were, yeah, about transmuting energy and moving energy from being a victim into a warrior, and these types of shifts, and there were four pillars along those lines that we worked through. And it was all about being able to show up in I suppose your energetic best self. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were processing the things that might have been holding us back in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that for a week, and literally like the day after we'd finished that, my now boyfriend sort of reached out to me. He was someone that I'd known before. I hadn't spoken to him for a few months, and yeah, he reached out. He's like, "Hey, how are you? How you been doing? Let's catch up. It'd be good to see you." And yeah, we've been together ever since.
Amazing. Amazing. And so can you just share how this has been different? What's been, before, how is this different after you worked on healing those attachment wounds and moving yourself from anxious attachment to more of kind of like an earned secure? How did this relationship occur to you?
Yeah, this was one that um, it just came to me. Like I didn't have to go out on any sort of dating apps. I didn't have to sort of
Push or
push
force?
anything or force anything. Not at all. It literally just came, and it was so easy. I never had to question. Um, whether I was going to hear from him. You know, he proved very early on, he would say, oh, you know, let's do something this weekend. And he would make plans and we would do something that weekend. It wasn't
He
this
made
sort of,
plans, and
yeah,
he was his word. In integrity, he was his word.
exactly. And
Amazing.
I could very much sort of sit back and be like, sure, I'd love to do something. And he would plan
Mm.
it all. And
And you never had to sit there stewing, worrying, wondering, is he going to
um,
call me back and text? It was
yeah,
just, he was an emotionally mature man
exactly. And
to meet the
not
emotional
long,
maturity that you were at.
yes, yes. And not about 2 3 weeks, I was moving house when we sort of first connected.
Mhm.
And you know, straight away he, you know, was helping me move boxes, helping me rearrange furniture, you know, and he had his own things going on, but he would make time to come and help me with that as well. And
Wow.
you know, that was a big shift, rather than
Yeah.
someone who's like, okay, like that doesn't sound very fun, so just call me when you're done.
He
And
really showed up for you.
yeah.
So that was my next question, is what's your biggest win that you've had since we've worked together? I mean, obvious, it's obvious, but what's been your biggest win?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
last Christmas versus this Christmas, what's the
Totally
difference?
different.
If you are finally ready to learn how to take all of these concepts that I share in my content, in my podcasts, in my YouTube videos, my Facebook Lives, and learn how to integrate them and implement them through a series of neural exercises that teach you how to rewire your relationship with trauma, sex, and money, the things that are most argued about in relationship dynamics, you will absolutely love my upcoming 3-day intensive. Click that link below. It's coming up very soon. It is ideal for people who are nerds for neuroscience and want to rewire this conditioning of undeserving, of prosperity, abundance, and healthy sexuality. If we don't get to the conditioning, these unresolved faulty mechanisms play out in relational dynamics, creating insecure attachments. And unconsciously, we are pushing prosperity and healthy sexuality away because of this mechanism of undeserving. If you want to learn how to shift it from an embodied perspective, follow the link below, and we'll see you at our next Rewire event coming really soon.
Totally different. You know, like last Christmas, I was, you know, at home with my parents. Um, you know, I love seeing them, but you're single and, you know, you're in your 30s and you're like, you know, this isn't fun. And, you know, you're seeing all your other family with their partners and their children. And you go and visit family and they're like, oh, well, you're single, so you can sleep on the couch. Like, you know, that sort of, you know, mentality. And
Mm,
this one was totally different. You know, I was able to have my partner there. We're able to visit my family. We're able to visit his family.
amazing.
Yeah, it was just wonderful,
His
and having that
grandmother.
quality time. His grandmother, yes, yes,
Mm,
yeah, she's a little 96-year-old grandma, who's a force to be reckoned with.
beautiful.
Yeah, you know,
Beautiful.
it was wonderful.
And
But I think the
also,
biggest
go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
just to answer your actual question about like,
Mm-hmm,
you know, what is the biggest win from all of this, aside from this wonderful relationship, is just this felt sense of confidence. You know, I
yeah.
know that, you know, like I want this to work out. I'm loving this relationship right now. I love my new partner and everything. But I know that, you know, if something does happen down the road, like I can get this again. This isn't,
Wow.
um, you know, some
It's not based on an external.
no.
You've shifted. The biggest, what I'm hearing from you is the biggest win isn't that you got someone, it's that
Mm,
you got yourself.
yes,
And
yes,
that's
yeah.
when you become magnetic.
Hmm.
I can feel it
Totally.
in you. Wow.
Yeah. And it's
You're
across
just
all
glowing.
things. Like if
Tell me more.
things don't work out with my job, you're like, that's fine. Like there's other things out there, and
Mm,
there's just not this sort of real scarcity anymore where
yeah.
if I don't have this,
Scarcity.
then I don't have anything, or this is the only time that this is ever going to work and ever going
Mm,
to come around. And if I don't have this, I'm not going to ever have it again. All
wow.
of that is just gone.
Amazing. So you've shifted. It's not about getting a person. It's about shifting the scarcity, the inadequacy, and the
Mm,
insecurity. And as you shifted that energy, effortlessly, you called in someone. And that's the key.
mm,
Instead of kind of like doing the work to get something, you did the work to become somebody different. And that's the key distinction of this work.
yeah.
And I'm super duper grateful that you trusted in me to do that. You watched the Should I Stay or Go? You took the notes. You're like, all right, I'm ready to do this.
Mhm,
So if somebody's listening to this right now and they can relate, they're in that same
mhm,
situation, they're doing well at work, but there's something not right in the relationship front.
mhm.
What would you say to them if they're on the fence about making a decision to jump in and do their work and break that cycle?
I just say you have to jump in and do it, because there's so many things that you don't even know, um, going into this, that you
Mm,
will uncover. And this isn't about therapy. It's not about reading the books and understanding things intellectually. This is about like getting it in you properly.
shifting who
And
you are,
yeah,
shifting who you're
yeah,
showing up as.
yeah. And it's not this you know intellectual understanding anymore. It's you can feel it, you can
Mm,
understand it, and it's just there. And um
amazing.
I think the biggest thing for me is that you no longer feel like an other, you no longer feel like an outsider, you no longer feel on the outside of life. Like, why does everybody else have this? Why does
Mm,
everybody else have this relationship? Why does everybody else seem to be
mm,
able to get more promotions or more money, or all these things?
mm.
Y- yeah, you're no longer in that other space.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the analogy that I have, if we can use a dancing analogy, and somebody's on stage and they're embodying the music in their
Hmm.
dancing, they're just expressing the music, versus somebody who's just kind of memorizing the steps,
Yeah, doing the moves, but yeah, it's
going
not
through the
felt.
motions, but it's not coming through.
Mhm.
That's the difference. That's the best explanation I can give for this work, is to authentically get you to shift who you're being energetically.
Yeah.
So what you're transmuting to humanity is love, is a love
Hmm.
for yourself, and that becomes magnetic, rather than doing it to get something or get somebody. To really go in and shift who you're being, and that is what I absolutely love guiding people to. It makes my heart sing, and to see you living the fruits of it, and what a beautiful you know story this is. And it's not over, it's just beginning. um, I'm super grateful that you came and shared it.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you.
having me.
Thank you.
So good to be able to see you and talk to you again.
Yeah, I just love it. It's just one of those beautiful moments. That's my favorite part of my job. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. And if you're listening and you can relate, send me a DM. Let me know what you related to in Lauren's story. Very vulnerable and beautiful, authentic story. Um, I'm a big fan. It's interesting. I mean, in March, I just got invited. I had another client a few years ago. She's getting married.
Mhm.
And she invited me to the wedding in Phoenix. So my wife and I are going, and just to say that I had a part because of the work that she
Mhm.
did. So the only reason why I'm saying that is, I will make a trip to Sydney for that.
Yes,
I'm just saying. I'm
yes,
just saying. The only reason why I'm saying, I'm just
yes.
dropping a little suggestion here, if I can, that I will make the trip to dance
Mhm.
with you
Mhm.
at your wedding.
Yes.
So much
I would
love to
love
you
to have
guys.
you. Yes.
Yeah, so much love to you and Patrick. And
Yeah.
the doggy.
Make sure you subscribe.
And best of luck in your move to find your new place together. And I send you so much love, and we'll see you all at the next perfect time.
Thank you.